Welcome to Rooster Radio, a broadcast dedicated to supporting and promoting local artists in the Gaston County and surrounding areas.
What's up, everybody? I'm here to tell you about the 2025 Rockin' Christmas show that we'll have Saturday, December 20th, right here at the Rooster. We've got My Blue Hope, Darling Machine, and Rothschild in the house. We're going to be wrapping up our annual toy drive to benefit the Kathy Mabry Cloninger Domestic Violence Shelter, and it'll kick off at our show here with Fake Happy on December 12th. So you got 8 days to donate. Bring a new unwrapped gift to the show. And check out the Amazon wish list as well. So that way you can get some ideas. The link is going to be in the description on the event and on our website as well. Keep in mind that they're going to be teenagers. You got makeup, hygiene products, whatever the teens are into these days. But all the information for the tickets you can find at the Rooster, gastonia.com/events.
No, it's just like anything else, man. People shit on tributes. People shit on cover bands and whatever. I'm like, man, at the end of the day, it's entertainment, whether it's original or not. I mean. Yeah,
it's entertainment. It's just to say it's no different than like back in, what was it, like the 90s when people were like, oh, wrestling's fake. No, it's not fake. It's scripted. It's entertainment. It was always entertainment.
Yeah. But there's still skill and talent involved in it to be able to produce something like that.
That's the big argument I stand on with a lot of people going, oh, well, you couldn't play your own music, so you got to go be a cover band or a tribute band. I'm like, man, at the end of the day, I'm still playing music. It doesn't matter if I wrote it or not.
Perfect example. All right, so I don't want to put anyone out there, so I'm not going to name them, but there's another tribute.
Name them, man.
There's another tribute band that, all right, well, I won't say who in the band said it, but, we've had Sugar play here a few times.
Yeah. I love those guys.
Wonderful System of a Down tribute band.
I love all those guys.
And I was talking to one of the guys in the band, and I was like, this is when I first met him, and I was like, do you guys ever do original stuff? He's like, yeah, for like 20 years. I was like, well, do you still play original stuff? He's like, not really anymore. I was like, well, why not? He's like, because nobody showed up.
Yeah.
He said, we started doing this, and we started filling up rooms. We got to play the Fillmore.
It's crazy. Like,
that was on the podcast almost exactly a year ago.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's to a degree the same kind of boat we're in with Fake Happy and doing the Paramore thing, man, is we've all have been or still are in, or all of us, I think, are in solo, like original stuff outside of the tribute thing. And they're all great, but it's a different world because we're going out and playing, and I mean, people are showing up, and people are like, man, this is great. You guys are awesome. And then it almost turns back into like, well, do you do anything else? And then it's a way to plug the original stuff. It's a way
I was just going to say the same thing. It is a way to promote your own stuff if you're doing the tribute.
Well, you look at bands like, the name drop a few, like Godsmack, that was an Alice in Chains. They did Alice in Chains a lot. Like, that was kind of their stick. And then they grew into Godsmack and being, a huge band. I mean, they kind of started as like a cover band, a tribute band, something like that, if I remember. And please, if I'm wrong, let me know.
Yeah. But, don't worry about that.
And if I'm wrong and if I'm right and I'm still whatever, fuck y'all.
It's just an opinion.
Yeah. I told Mike this was going to be the controversial Rooster radio thing.
I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Can I curse on this?
Try not to.
My fault. I didn't get any rules. I showed up late.
Well, we syndicate the first 25 minutes of the show, so it's just
you can censor in post. My fault, man.
It's just creating more work for Ron.
I'm sorry, man.
It is hard. I mean,
it's hard for me.
It is. I mean, you know how foul-mouthed we are.
Absolutely. I'm sorry for what I said when I was hungry.
But today we're talking to Johnny Cutt.
There we go. There's the formal introduction. I was waiting for that.
And we're talking to Johnny today because he's going to be here on the 12th of December with Fake Happy, Paramore Tribute, doing an acoustic set, which I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, we are too.
We're kind of heavy on the acoustic in December. I'm actually excited for it because, last week we talked to Death of August, who's going to be here doing an acoustic set with Gilby Clarke. And we talked on that episode about how, I get a lot of positive feedback about the things we do here.
Right.
But the one negative critique that we hear more often than not is it's too loud.
Sure.
And my response is, well, no, duh, it's a concert.
Sure.
But around the holidays, I try to do more family friendly, more like low key stuff to try to, because people are in and out with family and stuff. So it's like an opportunity to come here and experience what we do in a environment that's not so loud.
Sure, yeah.
So, but what was really cool when you reached out to me about doing the show, I was like, yeah, of course, let's do it. And then you were like, I want to do a toy drive, and I was like, yes,
yeah,
because we're already doing a toy drive, and it gave me a reason to kind of extend the toy drive for like a whole week.
Right.
So I want to say first and foremost, thank you for doing that.
Of course, man, and thanks for letting us host it here,
Yeah.
man. It's something I think we all care about, and it's something that it's kind of like the status quo for most people in this time frame, anyways. But I mean, it's for a good cause, so I don't care if somebody's like, oh, you're just kind of trying to cash in on it, because I've had a couple people say that already. And at the end of the day, it's helping somebody that needs help, and we get to do what we like to do, and we get to perform for people that enjoy it, and in a place that we think is really cool and that we really appreciate. Both of you guys and everybody here. It's wonderful to always come here, But at the end of the day, it's it's Christmas. People don't have a lot, and it's hard for everybody. And why not use the platform to try to make somebody's life a little better for that time period?
Whenever I get, we've discussed how difficult this business is and stuff. And, when I am having like doubtful times, or if I'm like kind of kicking myself and stuff, or things aren't going as great, I always remember, the first thing I go to is like all of the things that we've done for people in need.
Yeah.
Like if this goes away tomorrow, we have raised well over $30,000 in money for local charities.
Yeah.
We've done a toy drive this will be our third year. Let's see, 22, 3, 4, 5. This will be our fourth year in a row doing a toy drive for the domestic violence shelter here in town. I think about all that stuff, because if this was to go away, that's what I'm going to stand on. That's like I set out to make an impact in the community I live in, and that's what we have done that.
Well, yeah, well, and that's kind of the whole premise of what the business is in general. I mean, yeah, there's a sense of, I really enjoy music. I want to have a live music venue. I like musicians. I want to give them a place to play. But it's also something for the community to do, because what else really is there in this immediate area? I mean, if you wanted to go see live music, 9 times out of 10, you're going to Charlotte. You're having to go an hour away, or you're going to go to Asheville. You're having to travel. So the fact that you can bring it to your community is already giving back, regardless of the charitable things that you do, or all the other things that you do to host and support groups and stuff like that. It's the fact that you're even existing in this area is a testament to, well, it's a miracle in itself, but it's also, people like to rag on stuff, man, and they don't really see it for what it is. And it's a place for people to go and escape reality for a while, man. I mean, if you come to a show for 2, 3, 4 hours, whatever it might be, the fact that they have a place to do it close by without having to spend $100,000 to go see a band that's just cashing in and getting out. They're coming to see some stuff that might pop and might not, but at the end of the day, it's a social setting that they wouldn't have otherwise without you.
Yeah.
And people forget that. A lot. And I've been there, I've done that. We've talked about it several times off camera and in separate conversations, and people just don't have an appreciation for what it really takes to do what you do, to do what I do, to do what any of us really do. And it's easy to hate on it, but it's, they're like, opinions are like your bottom end, I try to censor myself.
Everyone's got them, and most of them stink.
Yeah, all of them stink, and I ain't washed mine since last night, so, so it definitely stinks right now, and there's people that are going to say something about it. But, my statement in response to that is that if you can do it better, just go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
If you can be better than me, nobody's ever going to punch down. It's always the people that aren't doing as well as you with the most to say. And I've learned over the last 10, 12 years, however long I've been doing this now, that you just kind of have to put the blinders on, man. You've got a goal, you've got things to do. The people that are in with you are in the lane, and they're gonna pull.
Yeah, I developed a whole new skill I didn't know existed since open. I mean, it's only been 3 years since I opened this place, a little over 3 years. I mean, I started to work about 7 years ago.
Right.
But I've finally, which I wish I had this skill when I was a younger person, like in high school, but I've kind of figured out how to just ignore everyone's. Like it doesn't faze me anymore.
Sure, no,
It's like say whatever you want. At least you're talking about
right.
me.
And for a while there, it eats at you, and then there's times where it still kind of does. Don't get me wrong, we're all people, and we all have.
Well, every now and then, someone will say that one thing that you're insecure about.
Sure, no. they'll poke the wound, But at the end of the day, it's all calloused over at this point, man. And I don't take so much to heart. There's a few people that I'll respond to, and there's a few people whose mind I'll try to change. And I'm like, listen, man, if you got anything to say, if you've heard anything, just let's talk about it. Like, I'm an open book. Talk to me. Let's be transparent here. What did you hear? Okay, let me say what I have to say about it, and then we'll come to you. Either you'll appreciate it and see it differently, or you'll still feel the same. And either way, at least you heard both sides. And but like I said before, man, people that are doing better than you don't really worry about what you got going on. So all the ones that are saying something about it.
That's so true.
Yeah.
And most of the promoters that I work with, no one's doing this for money. I mean, yes, sometimes we'll make money, but like
it's adding to the loss column. It's picking it back up,
Yeah, exactly. Like it's really a numbers game. It's like, well, how many of these, local shows, original shows can we do versus how many. For me, it's become a game of numbers. It's like, all right, each month I'm putting together I'm planning what shows I'm going to book and which ones I'm not. And there's certain shows you can kind of bank on. You're like, all right, I know this is going to pay the bills for this month. Mm-hmm. So maybe I can take a little more risk here with a couple of shows here and stuff. And it's, it's taken me up again. It's been the learning curve. Running bars. I ran bars and restaurants for a long time before the bar side of this has been easy.
Sure.
The hard part has been figuring out like how to get people in here, for shows, a lot of times people don't really know. They like what they like, and it's hard to convince somebody to come do something new. But no one's ever come to a show and then said to me, I've never been to a local show before and I'm never coming back.
Right.
It's always the opposite. It's always, man, I had no idea this was. That's the response I get from new people.
Yes,
every time.
And that's great too, because I feel like just in the time that I've been doing this, like I mentioned, 10, 12 years, whatever it's been, the whole landscape's changed for live music settings and people just going out to experience something they don't know anything about because of, let's blame it on the social media age, man. Everybody has everything accessible in the palm of their hand 24/7. So they're seeing TikTok videos. And I mean, we've seen that too with some of the TikTok artists who they're huge online, and then it doesn't translate live because I could just see it right there and I don't have to leave my house. Like I think I've become more introverted more than anything the last several years just because I just enjoy being at home, and I don't really want to go out. Which may sound kind of contradictory to what I'm doing, trying to get people to come out. But I understand, But the landscape of it's changed because of the accessibility of things, all the things you have at the tips of your fingers at your house. You don't want to have to go out. And that was a thing that we used to do back where I'm from, is every Wednesday there was a local show at the same club. And that's where everybody was, 200, 300, 400 people.
Yeah, it was almost like a fear of missing out before social media. It's like, wait a minute, what's going on? Like you didn't want to miss that show. That's where everyone's going to be on Friday night or Thursday, whatever it is.
But on the same token, and this is a hot take maybe, because maybe I'm jaded, maybe I'm not, maybe it's true, maybe it's not. It's just my opinion. I don't feel as if most of the bands that I'm seeing are trying nearly as hard as they were 10 years ago. And I'm saying that's everybody. I'm not saying that everybody falls in that category, but I'm saying it almost feels like the performances themselves can be a little jaded. So it's kind of, it's a double-edged sword. You want people to come out, but you're not giving them a reason to come out either. You know what I'm saying? You have to do something. That's something that we've talked about in the bands that I'm in, is we want to put forth that extra effort to be entertaining, to have a live show. That's the one thing with the Paramore tribute, is that I've seen a ton of tributes, and part of the reason that even exists, kind of looping back around on that, part of the reason the band exists is because, first off, we love performing, we love playing music, all of us in the band collectively. Secondly, it was one of those things where we were seeing other tributes, and we're like, oh man, these guys are great, they sound great, but they're missing something. They're missing that little edge. I take it to, I think about it like this: you got a tribute band, and you've got a cover band. And there's the difference is the tribute band is putting everything else into it, not just the music. And that's what separates that. And there's a lot of tribute bands that say they're tribute bands, but they're just generally cover bands because they're not dressing, they're not performing, they're not putting the show together, they're not doing it the way that artist would have done it. And that's one thing that we're trying to do, is to present that product as accurately as possible based off the era that we're trying to do, because there's several ones with the Paramore thing, obviously. But that's one of the reasons, that's one of the driving forces behind this, is like, man, let's go and be that, and respectfully, in a way, like, show everybody, like, this is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. Some of the best tributes that we've seen, like Poisonous, those guys, they're a Poison tribute. Shout out to my man Michael Griffey and Steve Peralta. They're awesome. They have the wigs, everything.
They're playing the part.
Everything. They look like Poison on stage.
Right.
Same thing with the Sugar.
Sugar.
Max wears the top hat. They put the effort into making it look like you're seeing the actual band.
Right, and that's the difference maker, right? Because that's what you remember. You don't go away going, oh, that band was good, okay, and then whatever. You've heard a million cover bands play, From the Bell Tolls by Metallica, and oh, they nailed it. Sounds great. But did they nail it as Metallica, or did they just play a good song? That's the difference. And we just played a show last night. And I keep pointing over there because Morgan's over there. But we just played a show last night, and it's the same as every night we play. People go up to her, especially because obviously it's very singer forward rather. And everybody's like, man, you sound just like her. You dance just like her. You're moving just like her. You're talking just like everything. And it's because we've literally studied. Once we put this project together, the only thing that I did was listen to Paramore. My Spotify rap next year or this end of this year is going to be, man, you really like Paramore. But all I did was study, and I tried to do everything that Zach Farrow does. She's trying to do everything that Haley does. All the guys are trying to do everything that their respective, counterparts are doing. And then we just watch live and go, okay, they're doing that. Let's work that in. Okay, they're doing this. Let's work that in. We add a little bit of our own flair to it, right? But at the end of the day, everybody that sees it, they're like, wow, this is great. And a lot of times, too, they're like, man, we saw Paramore such date, and it's like the same thing. We're seeing it all over again because they don't do what we're doing now. Like, they've changed directions. They've gone to another style altogether, which is great, and I love that, too. But we really wanted to revive and relive what we grew up listening to and what others like us did. And it's really translated. So people were seeing it, and it's really cool. So going back to the point was tribute, trying to be authentic, 100% accurate to what that artist is, and be a true tribute.
Yeah, and sometimes I actually feel bad sometimes when it comes to cover bands, because very few cover bands will play here. And every now and then, someone will say something that kind of makes you feel a little bad about it because they're in a cover band. And it's like, yeah, but it goes back to what you were saying about promoting yourselves. A lot of the tribute bands we deal with are putting time and energy into creating content. Most cover bands are just used to getting $500-600 to show up and play at a bar. And I'm not throwing shade on it.
No, not at all.
Because there's that's very valuable. It's a very valuable thing, but it's just not what we do.
Right.
Because none of the cover bands that play around here can get a crowd to come here.
Well,
because the people that love them never pay to see them.
Well, the thing is with a lot of the cover bands that you see is there's a difference between a venue like this and a bar down the road.
Exactly.
Because the bar down the road has an entertainment budget because the same people are going to be there regardless. They're just entertaining the patrons they already have.
Right.
A venue like this, it's an event-based patronage because nobody's just coming here as a neighborhood bar.
Except for Ricky.
Except for shout out Ricky. Yeah. My boy Ricky.
No, that's my girl Ricky.
Our girl Ricky.
That's my bestie.
Yeah.
Come on.
Guy, girl, everybody's a dude. He's a dude,
Look,
she's a
whenever
dude.
you're sitting right over there, she's always sitting right there.
All right, we point her out next time I'm here, or next time we're here together.
Yeah.
But the point is, and I've had this conversation with bands too, because when I was running Hooligans, all these cover bands would hit me up because they just thought it was the Mecca, right? They're like, if we're there, it's gonna be packed. And I'm like, it's not the case, man. We're here. The people that are packing the place out are here to see exclusively what's on that night, respectively. You're wanting to come in here, do the bare minimum, which is fine, because that's what they're used to doing. They're used to setting up at a bar, playing for whoever's there, collecting a check and leaving. And respectively, we're not that. We weren't that. And I would try to explain it to them, and they just get upset because I'm saving us both some time and effort here, man. I know I can't put anything, whatever I put into this, I'm not going to return because they can go see you for free next week down the road, or a $5 cover and a 50-cent draft kind of night, and that's not what our model is, and we can't sustain that.
Yeah.
And
furthermore, I don't want to disappoint anybody either.
Sure.
I don't, nothing. fucking sorry, it sucks. At the end of the night, when the payout is trash,
you
and
feel
it's
bad too.
Yeah, I feel probably worse than they do.
Sure, yeah, no.
I feel
I've
like
been there.
I failed. We all failed, and I don't, I want to try to avoid those situations.
You don't want to set yourself up for disappointment, you know,
Yeah.
and that's what I try to do. Like I was saying, is just stop it before it happens, and there's a place for it, and I support it, and I'm all for it, but people don't tend to think about that type of thing. They look at it, they look at the Rooster, they look at places like Hooligans, and they just see it when it's popping, and they're like, man, that's the place to go. And they just don't realize that what it took to get that there, or that artist, or those group of bands, like they put the work in to get those people here. And some of them are, and there's been exceptions to the rule, and I'm not saying that's everybody, but more times than not, those cover bands are just used to playing at Jimmy's bar, no disrespect, and play them 2 or 3 hours.
It's just a different thing that we do.
It's a whole different model. And there's different strokes for different folks, and there's all kinds of things, and there's no right or wrong way. There's just what works here and what doesn't,
Yeah, and then talk about local, like original. There are a handful of bands in this area that you can rely on to get a bunch of people out.
Yeah.
And you know who they are?
Yeah.
They're the ones that are putting all that extra time and effort into creating content, keeping people engaged.
Right.
You're staying in people's feeds, and you're networking person to person.
Right.
I can't tell you how many times we've booked with a band, and like they'll post the announcement, and then they'll post the week of.
Right.
And like that's all the effort
Yeah.
they put in. Meanwhile, I'm over here just digging in like descriptions for shows, like plugging in, scheduling. First of all,
everything.
all right, let me thank you for something right now.
Go ahead. It's coming. I feel it.
Let me tell you, dude, one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten was when you talked to me about using the Meta planning tool.
Yeah, the
scheduling
business
tool.
suite. Yeah.
Holy crap, that has changed my life.
It makes it easier, right?
Yes,
You
it
do things when you
does.
have time and not
Yes.
have to worry about it,
Yeah, it has been one. I basically just plug away on Wednesdays and Thursdays, my admin days here.
Yeah.
And I'm just nonstop scheduling all the posts for the week, and it has been so wonderful.
Well, I'm happy to have shared
Yes,
that.
yeah, I'm saying, fans, use that. Those tools are free.
Yeah.
They are free.
And that's the thing, right? You're getting to that point too, is the effort that bands put in. And unfortunately, we do live in a time now where it takes everybody. You can't just throw a show together and expect people to show up because there's something going on. Like I said, there's so much to do that they have so many choices, and I don't blame them. Part of me is just like, dude, I feel you. I would like to go home and play Call of Duty too. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, the ones that are successful more often than not, I'm not saying, again, this is all based off my personal observations. The ones that are more successful are the ones that do the extra bits. We live in a social media world. I know that's not everybody's thing. I totally get it. It's kind of like a necessary evil for me, as I could really care less at this point. I like to look at funny videos, and that's really about it. But going back again to what I'm doing with the Paramore tribute, what we're doing is every show is getting a budget. Every show we allocate money to advertising, in addition to whatever the promoter's doing, whatever the venue's doing, because you have to, right? It takes everybody. And that's the argument that I've had with people for 10 years is they think it's just because they're the band and you're the promoter that it's just on you to bring people out. I'm like, bro, I don't know everybody.
It's a team effort,
I don't
man.
know everybody,
You got fans that don't know me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So at the end of the day, if I look at it like this, right? I grew up in a time where selling tickets, and this is the biggest hot take I think we'll ever have. Selling tickets is such a crucial thing, and there's going to be people that are going to watch this back and go, Mike, why are you talking to this guy like this, man? This guy's, whatever. And we had this off camera too, this conversation. But I grew up in a time where if you wanted to play, you were bringing money to the promoter or to the venue, and not just here it is, take my money, but you go out and hustle tickets, because at the end of the day, what a lot of local bands don't realize is that local slots exist as a marketing tool, right? And that's not any disrespect, and that's not any sort of shade at their talent or their skill level. And we can touch base on that topic as well in a second in terms of sales. But the ticket selling method, while it's adapted and changed over the years in my usage, it's always been a thing. And I've always had to be the person selling tickets when I was playing in bands, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But we would do it, and we would bring 100, 200 people. And I know the times have changed and it's a little harder now. But at the end of the day, that's how you generate value for your band. It's not about how good you are. It's not about how much money you spent on gear or how much you sank into recording an album. It's about bodies in the room, and if you're not bringing bodies to the room, your value is nothing, in the terms of, draw,
In terms of successful shows.
Sure. Anybody can go online and get 100,000 Spotify streams or 100,000 Facebook likes or 100,000 TikTok follows, whatever they're doing. But it's got to translate live if you want to get live money, pay and play in front of people. And that's just.
And if you don't believe that, let me point something out. Like anyone that hears that and has, says bullshit, well, take a look at what's happened with the big venues over the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
How many tour announcements have you seen? And then a few months later or a couple months leading up to the show, those tours either get canceled, postponed, or moved to smaller venues.
Right. It's a lot. And
it's not just local. It's on a great, yes, this band is super successful, know, but if they can't, I don't want to
say it.
Yeah, I've bought tickets to a couple of shows recently, and the shows got pulled. I was 3-6 Mafia. I'd never seen them. Was totally excited to go see 3-6 Mafia. Bought the tickets.
That was them with Bone Thugs, right?
Yes.
All 5 original.
The Bone Thugs. Yeah, I was very excited about that. The whole tour got canceled.
Yeah.
And it was very mysterious. No one, because it was the way it got canceled was very weird, It
got quietly pulled down.
It got quietly kind of shut down. And that's because they weren't selling tickets.
Right. Now, that doesn't mean they wouldn't have, but it's the risk versus reward situation, and that's a lot of money being wrapped up, because that's happened to me several times from my end or from the artist and agent's end, where the show's not performing. Because every time I book a show, and here's a little bit of knowledge for some people maybe, every time that I book a show through an agency, we do this thing called ticket reporting, right? And most people may know what it is, but I give access for daily updates or weekly updates to what's being sold. So in real time, the artist's team can see, okay, we're selling 100 tickets, 200 tickets, whatever it may be.
It's got link tracking where you can track how many tickets are bought.
So
through this link and
they're looking at it, and they're basing their advertising efforts based off of that, right? And if it's underperforming, it's probably not worth their time. And so there's a lot of times, more often than not, they'll pull it. I've had it happen 5 times this year, and so many times over the years, because it takes money to do this on our end, on their end.
Well, I was just going to say, when let's keep talking about the bigger tours, right?
Sure.
Well, all right. Well, you've got buses, so you've got transportation, right?
And a bus easily is going to be $1,500 per day, not including fuel.
Right, fuel for the bus. You got a crew. Yeah. Right. You've got all of your gear that's going on and off the stage every night. That's resources, money.
Yep.
Wherever you're staying, a lot of the places have to pay to park their bus somewhere.
Yep.
Sometimes, there's so much more cost involved in tours that a lot of people just don't think about.
Oh, yeah.
You got to pay your merch people. You got. Everyone involved in a show. No one's volunteering for this.
No, and at the end of the day, when you're looking at it, like, I'm in this position too, because the Fake Happy crew, we travel with a team, and they're paid before the band's paid, because that's their job. And as I guess you would consider the boss of the situation, I'm the guy that's got to pay them. So at the end of the night, I'm cutting checks. You worked, you got paid. You work, because you don't expect people to work for free, and at that point they're employees, right? So it's the same thing on the national circuit. The larger bands, only it's much larger, right? Because you've got agents.
It's a crew of 30.
Well, you got agents taking percentages of commission for the booking. You got managers that are taking commissions of the booking. You got attorneys that are taking commissions. And people are going to say, that's unfair. The musicians, this, that, and the other. But it takes a village, right? It takes everybody involved to do this, because the artist is being the artist. That's why they've hired these people, right? So you consider it unfair or whatever to take commissions. That's why you're still here,
Yeah.
But you've got a crew, like you said, you've got all these expenses, so it's got to make sense. It's got to make, even on the small van tours, even on those small guys where it's just the band doing it themselves, it's still a lot of money. It's still very expensive. And if there's anything that anybody takes away from this, and I'm talking directly to you because I'm looking at this camera right here, is you've got to start buying tickets in advance. And I know that the biggest stipulation right now is the economy, and people don't have a lot of expendable money, and so they're kind of pinching pennies and rubbing nickels together to make dollars, and they're waiting to the last minute because they don't know, if they're going to have that extra $50 to go out to a show. So they're waiting to the last minute. But I've never seen it, you know, just talking about ticket tracking and analytics in general. I've never seen the numbers like this. It's crazy. You still have the ones that sell very well in advance, you know, the obvious ones. But for instance, I had a band, I don't want to name them. I have several over the years, over this year alone, would do 75 or more % the day of or the day before. And so I'm sitting there sweating bullets, like thinking we're going to lose really bad. And I think I had 50 tickets sold going into this particular show that I'm thinking about. And we did 220 sold. It sold out the venue, right?
Yeah.
It was a small venue. 50 to 220 in a day or two. That's insane. So the point is if you're wanting to go to a show, I know finances are tight, try to buy that in advance, because you're doing, not only is it typically a little bit less expensive, right? The price always goes up, but you're also creating this sense of value, because now everybody involved is not like thinking, oh man, are we just wasting our time? You know, I've got hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars spent into advertising, depending on the size of the show. I'm feeling a little bit more at ease, and everybody's a little bit more at ease, because we don't think it's going to be a failure.
It helps us plan better too, like, as far as staffing goes. You know, there's been a handful of times where, I mean, it happened very recently. I had to call her like, I need you to come work tonight. Like, I didn't have her scheduled because everything got bought last minute, and you know, so it also has an effect on the venue itself in terms of like staffing and being able to provide an experience that's fun for everybody.
Well, it's all projections, right?
My goal here is, you know, is for everyone to come here and have a good time, including the artists and the people that come to the show. And we want to make sure everyone's safe and all that.
We're in the hospitality business as well as we're in the booze business, but we're in the hospitality business most, because people would like to enjoy spending. You want them to spend money and feel like they got something for it, right? So the last thing you want to do is give them a rude experience, or let them feel like they weren't important or they didn't have a good time, because they're spending money. They deserve to have a safe and fun environment, right? So
well, I mean, not only do they deserve it, but it's our responsibility to provide it.
That's the point. That's the point. Is you've built them a place to come. It's your place to bring them back. It's, you know, like that's the job that we're all here. We want return business. You know, I've known a lot of people over the years doing the same thing that you're doing. Is they'll show up because they had a great time. They don't even know who's playing that night, but they're like, oh man, last time I was here, I saw something new. I heard something new. I liked it. You know, it was fun.
There's 2 guys that live down the street at one of the condos down there. They do that quite often. Yeah,
because they found a place that they can enjoy. And it opens people's minds, because I can't tell you how many times I've had people, you know, either work for me or get talked in or persuaded to come in and then show up and go, wow, I didn't know this was like this.
Yeah.
Or
we hear it all the time,
you know?
man. We really do. We hear it all the time. You know, sometimes we see them come back, sometimes we don't. You know, people have this great experience. They're all high on adrenaline, and they're like, this place is amazing. You know, and I appreciate every single one of those, you know, and I always tell them the same thing, like, thank you, and I hope we'll see you again soon.
Absolutely. That's the best you can do, right? And, you know, you provide them a place to go. You provide them a fun, safe place to be. And, you know, you do everything that you can to make sure that they want to come back. They had a great time, right? So I get it, man.
Right on. All right. Anything else you want to promote before we start wrapping things up here?
I mean, just keep supporting the Rooster, man. Places like this, you know, they're gems. They're hidden gems.
Well, I will say this. Dude, I never intended for this place to be a place that brought national acts here. The fact that and thank you very much, because that's all really due to you. No, we weren't getting them until you came along.
I appreciate it.
And now we're getting them from other promoters as well. So thank you for that. But this was always meant to be a community hub for local stuff. And the fact that we're getting bands that people know their names, it's given these local bands opportunities to get in front of crowds they would never have access to otherwise. It's going above and beyond the goals that I set out to achieve when I opened this place.
Sure.
I never dreamed that we'd be having shows like that with you know, names like Tantric and
Black Flag.
Black Flag. Yeah, Black Flag was huge. I mean, to this day, people are like, that's the place. People are still like, they had Black Flag there.
Yeah.
You know, so and that's, you know, you get there by building relationships.
Sure.
And, you know, I'm grateful. You know, I know you're a controversial figure. I know people are going to have stuff to say, but honestly, fuck off, because they're not doing the work that we're doing.
Right.
You know, we have these conversations off camera a lot
Yeah.
about the work part of this. And
There's a lot more that goes into it than you think.
Dude,
or realize.
and like you said, the reputation thing. I know we're kind of running short on time here. The relationships. These are, I don't do this. I don't get what I get. Right. I don't get the black flags. I don't get those other tours because I exist. I'm a promoter. It's just years of relationship building, and it's years of proving yourself. It's the same thing on either side of this coin here, with the musician side and the business side. You know, because I've been on both. I'm still on both, and I think a lot of people forget that. You know, first and foremost there, so they like to speak out of turn, thinking that I'm not one of them, and I came from that. You know, but it's the same thing. Bands build relationships with promoters, and that's how they get repeat shows, right? You know, they do a good job. They make
it's the same thing with producers who
the same
produce
thing
their
on my
albums
end.
and stuff. You know, you make a name for yourself. You cut your teeth by just proving yourself over and over again.
Yeah, it's the same. Same with promoters, man. You know, I've done consistently solid business. You know, there's a few people that might disagree, and that's okay. You know, it's circumstantial. But I've done enough consistent business with the right people to continue getting the things that I get, and that's what blows a lot of people's minds, because they see what they think they know, or they think what they see is what it is, and they have their own perceptions, but they don't realize that there's so much more that has been building for a decade plus. You know,
there's no such thing as overnight success.
That's right, dude.
It just doesn't exist.
It still ain't successful. You know what I'm saying? But it's. You know, I had this conversation with a guy last night. Again, I know we're short on time, but I had a conversation with a guy last night that also owns a venue, and he and I had the same conversation. You know, and it was, people don't see what goes into it. They don't see all the money lost. They don't see all the money spent, the time invested. You know, it's.
Yeah, I mean, one bad month can really it can send you into a spiral. Because if it's bad enough, it can put you so far behind the eight ball that it takes 3 months to catch back up.
I had a show like that last it's been about a year now. I'm coming up, maybe it's a little past a year. It nearly ended me because it cost me $25,000.
Holy crap.
You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't supposed to be like that. It just happened to be like that, and it nearly took me out, you know. And I know some people are going to be like, yeah, we're cutting it out, taking it out, you know. I'm tired of this guy.
Man, if anybody is cheering for someone to lose, then unless you're watching the Cowboys play, again,
you need to do some deep inner work. That's what I'm going to say. No, really positive. You need to do some inner work.
You really should look at yourself a little bit, because sure, things piss me off. Sure, things aggravate me from time to time.
Human,
but I'm
man.
always trying to find a way to turn that into a positive.
I try the same thing, man. There's some people that it's never going to happen. But touching on that point is I've always had the saying too, that if you've got an issue with me, it's more than likely you, right? And it's not me trying to say that I don't have any issues and I don't cause problems, because I certainly do. I rub people the wrong way. Sometimes I do it intentionally, because you know what, you can. Because I can, right? You know, you and I are the same kind of person sometimes. But at the end of the day, I'm a good person, and I know that because of what I do and what I do to help people that, you know, will help me or not. It's not a symbiotic thing. I try to help those, period, and I continue helping those that will help themselves, or will in turn, you know, look out for me. You know, but if it's always take, the tree runs out of fruit. You know what I'm saying? And there's only so much you can give. So the point is if there's an issue with me, it can usually be resolved with the conversation, because it might be a misinterpretation, or it might be some hearsay. You might have heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend that had one negative experience, and it wasn't even that bad because they just took it way out of context, like people do. People like to exaggerate things. And so if you just talk to me, you will learn a lot more than you will hearing it from somebody else.
Yeah,
you know.
I agree.
And then if you still don't like me, then that's cool. Whatever. We don't have to like each other. That's the beautiful thing, right? Is we can all be different, and we can all like what we like and dislike what we like. But that doesn't mean we can't still get along and be cordial, and you can just leave it alone. But the problem is people have so much to say, and social media, again, bringing it back to that, nobody wants to use it positively. They only want to use it negatively, and they try to do the latter. And drag everybody down. So
I have found that there's people are a lot more positive on Instagram than they are on Facebook.
I like Instagram a lot better. Than
I've become one that's kind of I've turned that corner where I prefer the interaction on Instagram.
Yeah.
And perfect example. This is the last thing I'm gonna say. We'll wrap up. Okay.
Sure.
We had little man Jay here.
Yeah.
Right. Dude was awesome. Right.
Yeah.
He's like 4 foot tall. sings country.
Living up to the name.
Yeah. He's got a degenerative disease, and he talks about it on the social media, and he got famous through TikTok and Instagram,
Yep.
but he actually writes decent country music.
Sure.
And so we had him here, packed the place out, awesome show, had a great time. So the next day, everyone's posting about it, and I go and I'm looking in the comments on Facebook, and it's all people just shitting on this guy,
Yeah.
talking shit. And then I go to this very same post on Instagram, and it's all, congratulations, brother, you're doing great.
Yeah.
And that way, in that moment, I was like,
Yeah.
you know, I hadn't put it together, but this is a pattern I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Everyone's so much more positive on Instagram than they are on Facebook. And I've kind of, again, I took Facebook off my phone. You know, I still got Instagram on there, and that's kind of where I do my doom scrolling now,
Sure.
because it's a much more, it's a better
It is.
experience,
Yeah.
man. It's such a better experience when you're uplifting.
Yeah.
Well,
You know?
then, but you don't see the words first. You see the image. That's what brings you in. That's what attracts you to it, not somebody's hateful comment.
Yeah.
You're
Right.
like, oh, what's this? Let me get some popcorn.
Well, listen.
But
At the
anyways.
end of the day, wrapping it up for you. People suck,
Yeah.
and come to see a show. Support the Rooster.
There's one way to not suck is to get out of the house and come to a show.
Yeah.
And why not come to this show?
What did his kids
Friday
say?
the
Touch
12th?
grass, right?
What's that?
Touch grass. Is that the saying now? Touch grass.
That means they need to get out of the
To
house.
get out
Oh,
of the house. See, yeah. it's
I
the
just
wa-
learned about 6'7".
I don't even know about that.
I just
I
I want to
don't
see.
know. That's a conversation for another podcast, right? But anyways, promote, like you asked me, promote some stuff. Come see Fake Happy, the Paramore tribute, acoustic. This is only our second acoustic show, right? It's very limited tickets. It's for a good cause.
It's going to be a seated event, by the way.
Seated,
We should
yeah.
probably say that.
It's fully seated.
Yeah, tickets are limited because everyone's going to have a place to sit.
Right, and we intentionally did that. We want it to be comfortable. We want
Intimate.
everybody to have, it's an intimate show. It's not a stand up and mosh kind of show. It's let's sit down and let's chill and let's have a good time together. So come see that. Get tickets. You can get them at the Rooster, Gastonia.com, fake-happy.com. We couldn't get fakehappy.com. It was already taken.
Oh.
I don't know. Fake-dash, whatever you want to call it, .com. You can get them right there. Proceeds, we're donating some proceeds to the domestic violence shelter.
And bring a toy. Bring a new
toy.
unwrapped
Yeah.
toy. If you go to our website, there's an Amazon wish list. It's linked in the description
Cool.
of the show. So you can go there, and keep in mind that some of these kids are teenagers. So maybe like some makeup, some hygiene
Yeah.
stuff, some feminine products, or
Whatever you guys feel
Some
like
of the
could be
6'7".
useful. Some 6'7", some touch grass. But and long story short, support the Rooster, support venues like this that keep bringing things, whether you like it or not. It's lifeblood for a community like this.
Yeah,
It's a
well,
place
this
for people to
is
be.
how we win.
Yeah.
We're gonna let them win if we keep
Yeah.
going at each other and getting at each other's throats.
And-
That's how the bad guys win.
And those that are negative about it, stay negative about it, but stay negative and stay over there. We don't need that, man. Like we have places and we do things for people that want to do it. And if you don't want to do it, just don't. If you don't have anything nice, don't say it at all. Right? That's what the thing is.
Well,
But
Mama told me.
anyways, closing it out.
Yeah.
Support the Rooster.
Thanks,
Support
Johnny.
Mike.
I appreciate it.
Well,
It's been
Mike's
fun.
wrapping us up for
all
it.
right. Peace and
We're
love.
done.